Money, 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 money. Money. Justin Jefferson, 140 million. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to On the One. This is Big Rose, taking you right up to the 1 yard line, going through these stories. Big story that came out today, Justin Jefferson, 140 million, 110 guaranteed, 35 million average. Insanity, honestly. I don't know if y'all knew this. Bro missed 7 games last season. 7 games. Still got a $140 million contract. Over 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns with 10 games played. Honestly, insane. He deserves it. If you really looked at the Vikings roster, I mean, it was obvious that a deal was going to get done. They've got Sam Darnold. They've got their new QB, rookie QB in J.J. McCarthy. And I think between them is $14 million between all four of their QBs, $20 million. So they've got the room, honestly, with J.J. McCarthy. Sam Darnold won't be there next year, I think, unless he plays out of his mind. But J.J. McCarthy is the future. They've got this 4 or 5 year window. They can afford to put him under contract. But not only that, Vikings looked this up. Over 30 contracts expiring at the end of this year, at the end of 2024. So they've got some financial space coming up. Currently, they've got $27 million in cap space. So don't be surprised if they really backload this contract. You know, when you see these guys making well over their average on these contracts, it's because the team is playing the game of how much can we fit this year? How much money can we fit next year? So he might be making $40 million next year. They've got, I think, $54 million in cap space. So he's going to get a good chunk of it next year. But, you know, good for Justin Jefferson. These guys risk life and limb every time they step out there. If you're a Commanders fan or just a football fan, go Google Alex Smith's leg. I think we all remember that. So as much money as these guys can get, amazing for them. Next up, Tee Higgins to Washington. Not happening. I'm about to tell you why. So Tee Higgins plays for the Cincinnati Bengals, franchise tag, $21 million. A lot of people would say, why not? Why don't you go play for $21 million for 1 year? The reason is, for players, for the team, great. If they've got the cap space, awesome. For the players, you've got no security blanket if something were to happen to you. If you get injured, there's no guarantee that you're going to get another contract. So players really hate being franchise tagged. There's really not much they can do. They really don't have an option in negotiations. It's the franchise tag. So he's not happy. He requested a trade back early off season, maybe like February. Obviously nothing has materialized with that. He hasn't been to OTAs, which is not uncommon for veteran players, but a few days back, he actually posted on Instagram the caption saying, "I tell them no, they can't wait to call me selfish," with pics of him in the weight room, putting in that work, pics of him flexing a fresh Louis Vuitton outfit with a song by Chicken P named Venting. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. Obviously, he's not really happy with his situation. But the speculation about him coming to Washington is just not going to happen. And it's not as much on the Bengals side as it is on what we've got coming up here in Washington. So, and I hope I'm wrong. Honestly, I would love to have Tee Higgins. Anything that we can do to help Jaden Daniels. You know, De'Ami Brown, okay, we don't know what's going to happen with Luke McCaffrey. He looks good, honestly. He looks like a baller, but you just never know. And then Terry McLaurin, you know, obviously a stud. Jahan Dotson had a bad year last year, not great. And that O-line, so you never know what's going to happen. So as many weapons as we can get here, I would love to have him. But here's the reason why. So contracts ending for 2024. And these are light, okay? This is Jamin Davis, Tressway, Sam Cosmi, Bobby Wagner, you know, all these 1 year deals. We don't know how he's going to play, right? But he's Bobby Wagner, so we expect it. Just don't know if he's going to get re-signed. That's 2 of our linebackers right there. That's Bobby Wagner, Jamin Davis, probably both starting linebackers. St. Juice, De'Ami Brown, Bates, and Rogers are 2 tight ends. all of the rest of those one-year deals that we signed, those are all coming up just this year. Now, 2025, this is where the big boys come in. So next year, we've got John Allen. Do we pay him? Do we not? I think they're going to wait and see this year. Terry McLaurin is coming up. That's probably going to be another big contract. I got faith in Terry McLaurin. He's gotten 1,000 yards with the bozos that we've sent him out there with at quarterback up until this point. So I don't see why he wouldn't do it again. Andrew Wiley, Fedarian Mathis, Brian Robinson, Percy Butler, Cole Turner. That's 3 of our tight ends right there in the next 2 years. We're going to have to re-sign 1 or 2 of those guys. Now, some people will say, hey, we've got $40 million, I think $43 million in cap space this year. It's just all of those contracts coming up next year. That cap space is going to go down. It's not going to stay where it's at. We've got some big people to sign back. Now, where I think he should go and what I think makes more sense, and we'll see how they play it out, but the New England Patriots, I think, make the most sense for signing Tee Higgins. Their earliest expiring contract on a receiver isn't until next year. Everybody else is signed through 2026. They've got a couple guys through 2028, but the contract that expires next year, Tyquan Thornton. Who is Tyquan Thornton? Everyone else locked in until at least 2026. So you've got the need, obviously, but you've also got the space to do it. And, unless these guys go crazy, I don't know if they're going to be back. But they've got the obvious need there for him. The Patriots, the only other team that has more cap space than Washington. And, it's just about figuring out, are they in a rebuild? Are they not? So they've got Drake May. It doesn't look like they're going to start him. It's going to be Jacoby Brissett, but, they would only bring Tee Higgins in if they believe that Drake May is going to be ready, because you're going to want to put as many weapons around him. You're going to want him to be as comfortable as possible. If it's Jacoby Brissett and this is just a year that they're going to toss it up and see what happens, then they're not going to sign Tee Higgins. They're going to roll with the punches. Whatever happens, happens. We'll see. They'll see, I guess. But I think that it's not really a rebuild. This is just kind of like a lame duck year, you could say, for them. And next year, they're really going to start to figure it out. So we'll see. If they bring in Tee Higgins, I believe that'll point to Drake May starting. If they don't, then it's going to be Brissett and Tyquan Thornton all the way through 2024. Next up, we're talking ESPN Football Power Index. They're doing the Washington Commanders dirty. They've got us picking in the top 5 next year, which might not be bad. We'll talk about what's available in the top 5, but I went through it. Call me a homer. I'm probably a homer, but even if we lost every game in the NFC East, I've got us winning at least 7 games. There's just too much talent on this team, too many weapons. I just can't see us being any worse than last year, especially that defense, that secondary. I mean, we've got the Cowboys guys for a reason. They were one of the top teams in interceptions last year. They were stout against the run. They also have a lot better players than we do, right? But I just can't see it being much worse. And we can't get much worse. I mean, we were almost last in every single category statistically. But, we've said this before as Washington fans, right? Who remembers this? There's no way McNabb is worse than Jason Campbell. Y'all remember that? There's no way John Beck is worse than Rex Grossman. Jesus Christ. Case Keenum had some big games for us. We can win with him. We all know how that went. So I hope this team isn't picking in the top 5, but I'm also not surprised at those predictions, right? We disappoint every single year. Every time that we think we've got something going, we actually don't. So we all, as Commanders fans too, we tend to overvalue our guys a lot. Really, who left? And first of all, it really hurt us, but they also did really well. I can think of Brandon Sheriff and left tackle over in the 49ers, Trent Williams. Those are the only guys that, I feel like we really missed. But it also begs the question, would you rather win a few more games and not pick in the top 5 and, have some bragging rights over some teams, or would you rather lose along the way? I'm a big proponent of winning as many games as we can, because when it's the off season and I'm itching for football and I want to watch some highlights, it's a lot better watching highlights of our wins. It just hurts too much to watch those highlights of losses. So selfishly, I want to watch more highlights in the off season, but this last year, 2023, we were really duking it out with the Patriots for who was going to get that second overall pick. And I wanted it because, honestly, if the Patriots had lost one more game, and we would have won one more game, then we would be stuck with Drake May. And I think Drake May might be a good quarterback, but there's just something exciting about Jaden Daniels. So, but we'll see how it goes. If we pick in the top 5, honestly, that is a super disappointing season. You can come back here and I'm going to buy a Jaden Daniels jersey and then I'm going to tear it in half if we pick in the top 5 next year. So at least stay tuned for that. Last but not least, want to talk about this Eagles and Falcons tampering case. The decisions for the punishments are supposed to come out this week, so we'll see what those are. Kind of want to keep an eye on those as an NFC East opponent. It's going to be happening too. But essentially, the Falcons being punished for reaching out to Kirk Cousins, the Eagles getting punished for reaching out to Saquon. Now, how the story goes is Howie Roseman reached out to Saquon, kind of try to lure him, soften him up. Hey, you went to Penn State. There's going to be a lot of Penn State fans at the link. Imagine them going crazy when you're scoring plays against the Giants. Then you've got the Falcons who reached out to Kirk Cousins. And honestly, this is just the epitome of Kirk Cousins. Just kind of a goofball, honestly. But this guy gets on stage, and the exact quote from Kirk Cousins: "There's great people here, and it's just not the football team. I mean, I'm looking at the support staff meeting, calling yesterday, calling our head athletic trainer, calling our head of PR. I'm thinking we got some good people here, and that's exciting to be part of." Kirk Cousins, bro, what the hell are you thinking, man? Based on the time that he was talking and saying, yesterday I had these conversations, those conversations were not allowed according to league rules. Put his whole foot in his mouth, made him look bad. There's going to be some repercussions for it. Now, just to kind of give you guys some insight, these are not just fines that are happening. These are not just slap on the wrist. Some of the punishments have been big. So the Dolphins, for tampering with Tom Brady and Sean Payton, had to forfeit a 2023 first-round pick, had to forfeit a 2024 third-rounder. So these are franchise-altering punishments. Imagine what you could get with a first-round pick. They don't always hit, but sometimes they hit. Also, the Chiefs for tampering with Jerry Maclin. Was that worth it? 2016 third rounder and a 2017 sixth rounder for reaching out to that guy. To me, I don't care too much what happens to the Falcons. They are in the NFC. So, maybe a nice little fine, or they did say that the Falcons were more egregious in what they did. So they're probably going to get the bigger hit. But as a Commanders fan, I think that what the Eagles did was awful. It was terrible. Uncalled for, take away their entire draft, hand it over to Washington. But we'll see. You guys tell me, what do you think the punishment is going to be? It's supposed to come out this week, so we'll find out soon enough. But going back through it, Justin Jefferson, good stuff, man. Good stuff. 140 million, highest paid non-QB ever in the league, setting records, not only on the field, but off of it as well. Tee Higgins to Washington. Once again, I would love to have him, but I just don't think it's going to happen. And then ESPN Football Power Index telling us that we're going to be picking in the top 5 next year. One thing I did not mention, actually, a lot of defensive talent in the top 5 next year. We could really lock up a stud, especially an edge rusher. But let me know what you guys think. Reach out. Let me know about your teams. What are you guys thinking? And I'll be back tomorrow with some more stories for you.